Friends, we meet again, but this time in the new year, 2023. Isn't that crazy? But that is time, and the underlying message of my channel. That time continues to tick. It continues to pass. And if you don't do anything with your time, it's just being wasted. But if you know how to utilize it, leverage it to your advantage, you'll continually make progress in this life. And it excites me to see you here once again for the monthly Dividend Portfolio review. But this time for January 2023. And just like we've done for the last couple, we're going to go over some of the data of my portfolio. I'll go over how much do I actually fund my portfolio and how often. Dive a little bit into my sector allocations and percentages. And go over some of the best and worst performers per sector. Let you know the current number of holdings I have, as well as my dividend portfolio's yield and my expense ratio. And then to wrap up the video, I'll also go over some current short-term and long-term plans for this portfolio. And then lastly, the part you guys actually are most interested in, and honestly my favorite part as well, is how much does this dividend portfolio currently pay me in dividends. But before we begin, friends, I just want to make an emphasis that we're now in 2023, and I hope you continue to make plans in this life, because if not, time will truly pass. I hope this portfolio can serve as some sort of motivation in your investing plans. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in dividend investing specifically. It could be in any form of investing, and it can even be leveraged into personal growth and personal development, because I know a lot of that is what my message has been most recently, is just leveraging your time to not just investments, but also into yourself and being better in yourself. And before we actually begin, I was thinking about including some of the updates, or I guess my 2022 year dividend portfolio recap, but I'm going to make a separate video with that. And in that specific video, I'll go over some of my thoughts about how I actually went about fulfilling my plan of investing for this portfolio in the last year. At the beginning, if you remember, I did start out with the plan. So I do want to go and recap and just review how it is that I was actually able to execute on that plan, and as a result of the year, what did the final point look like? Because I know I had a goal of how much I wanted to invest, but I did have some change of plans. So how much did I actually invest in my portfolio all of last year, and what was my total return? And in that same video, I'll also be describing just what does my goal for 2023 look like now with the changed plans. So do stay tuned for that video. But let's continue here. So how much do I fund my portfolio and how often? If you've been following this for a while, you do know that previously I used to funnel $500 every single week into this dividend portfolio. I was going pretty quickly with that pace, and at that time I was doing weekly updates on this channel. But a lot of that stemmed from the excitement of just funneling that much money into this portfolio. But since then I've changed my plans, and now I invest $100 every week. And the other portion I'm trying to save for real estate. So at $100 every single week, plus the drip, it's not too exciting. So I found a happy medium of just doing updates every single month, these monthly videos. And I feel like it's been a pretty good sweet spot so far. There's enough history here to show some action, some excitement, some motivation. You know, if I was to do these every single week, it wouldn't be that exciting. But I'm hoping to eventually in the future get to that point again, where I'm doing the weekly updates. And I'm once again funneling $500, if not more, into this portfolio. That was a good time. And I'm really glad that I did that. Put in all that upfront work at the start, because now my portfolio is pretty significant. So now what are my sector allocations and percentages? But I guess this means we have to dive into the dividend portfolio now. So as we make our way through into that, before I just want to show you we're currently at $64,377.10 for the Jesse's cash flow portfolio. And of course this is on the all-time charts. This is with an all-time return of 17.79%. But do keep in mind, this is with market gain and also earned dividends. As you can see here, the total gain for the portfolio with dividends and market gain is $5,712.63. For market gain alone though, however, it's $3,078.11. And from earned dividends, almost just as much as our market gain, is $2,634.52. I think it was about two months ago or so, Our earned dividends were actually greater than our market gain. But that's the beauty of having a dividend portfolio, is even when the markets are down, your portfolio is not a complete loss, it's not a wash, because over time you have earned dividends. And that's the point. When the markets are rocky, you're going to continually get these dividend payouts. So in a down market, your dividend portfolio is going to shine. And even when the markets are doing well, you get the double bonus. You get the market gain, and you also get the earned dividends. And if you were to ask me, Jesse, how do you foresee the markets playing out this year? Honestly, friends, I think it's going to be quite shaky. I really do feel like this is going to be a year, and in these upcoming years, maybe 2 to 3 to 4 years or so, where a dividend portfolio is going to shine. I think a lot of people that invest for income, such as dividends, are going to feel pretty good about their portfolios, whereas people who invest for growth, even though there's higher potential for returns, you're going to be stressing out a bit. I mean, you could see what happened to Tesla, what happened to Apple, Nvidia, just to name a few. But if you're a dividend investor, we invest in these boring dividend stocks for a reason. We don't like these super high up emotions with the super swing down to the ground. We like the even keel, slow and steady approach. The rabbit versus the turtle. Just take your time with it. There's no rush to this. I'm currently 27, going to be 28 years old this year. I have time on my side. And the good thing is, you just got to start. Even let's say if you were 40 years old or so, put in 20 years. By the time you reach the average age of retirement, you'll be 65. That's still a really good age. And you should definitely have $1 million, if not multi-million-dollar dividend portfolio, as long as you play it right. So time in a dividend portfolio is key, and it'll really leverage and enhance your outcome. But enough of that little ramble out the way. As I said, this was on all-time charts. Let's check out the 1 month performance here. So the return over the past month is 1.95%, which equates to a total gain of $1,224.83. So still in the green. Over the last week, we do see some red here, minus 1.98%, minus $1,296.76. And just to look year to date, out of curiosity, so far for the year 2023, I know we're very briefly into it so far, we have a return of 1%, which equates to $683.99. And even for the year, if you look here, it says I already made $64.72 in dividends. Pretty neat, huh? And like I said, I'm going to make a separate video where I actually go into my 2022 year and recap, telling you how much I actually funneled for the year and what was my total return and my final thoughts. And then in that same video, I'm going to push out my 2023 goals. So I won't be sharing that in this video. So just in case you wonder why, be on the lookout for that video coming out. And then now switching back to all-time view, I was actually playing with it on year to date, but I just realized it wasn't that. So all time, we're going to go check out our allocations here. And on this far right corner, you're going to see that the black number here, the bold number, this is my target allocation. This is what I want my allocations to be set at. The number right above it is my actual allocation. So for example, this one's 13%, and it's actually at 13% of the portfolio for real estate. Consumer staples is 12% allocation, but the actual allocation is 11.5%. And then for example, ETF here, it's 10% set, but it's an actual of 9.9%, and so on and so forth. Going down this far right column here, like tech, for example, I have set at 10%, utilities is the same, financials I have set at 9%, and then just working our way down, all the way down. And if you're curious, friends, there's a link in my description box down below. If you click on it, you can actually take a look deeper into this portfolio. It'll be my portfolio. M1 Finance does a really cool thing where you can share your link to your Pi. If you click on it, you can see all of this in greater detail. For example, energy I have set at 3% of my portfolio, and the actual is 3.2%, so actually higher. But a lot of it is because the stocks in here are performing pretty well. So if you click on the link there, you can see in detail, as well as I'm showing you here right now, that in this sector, I do hold Chevron, ExxonMobil, and Xterra Energy. So if you were to do that for any of the sectors, it'll show you the actual stocks that I'm holding. I would show you here in this video, but I know that would just take a long time to do, to go through every single one. But I'll just show you tech because I know this one's an exciting one that a lot of people like to see. But in tech, in this sector for me, I have Apple set at 30%, and followed by Nvidia, at 28%, and so on. I also hold Visa, Cisco, IBM, and Oracle. Everything's in the green, so that's actually really good. I actually don't take a look into my portfolio as much as I used to. I feel pretty confident in the outcome of this portfolio because I put so much research into it, up front and just over time keeping eyes on it. My strategy isn't to sell, so a lot of what I hold is just what I hold pretty much forever. I just let it ride. But that's the target allocations. And now just to kind of show you some of the best and worst performers. So I put them in order here. Energy continues to just smash it. They're up 137% in my portfolio. And a lot of it is just Exxon and Chevron. I know the markets are kind of shaky right now. It has its seasons. Energy does as a sector. I don't expect it to always stay, at this level. It will come back down, but for now it's doing really well. Followed by this, I have financials with a notable gap from energy to financials with a return of 45.19%. And then it continues to decrease a little bit as we go, but consumer discretionary, and then followed by my ETF, which I'll show you here. It's SPYD, a high dividend paying ETF with a return of 30.76%. And that one's a nice one to hold if you like dividend income. It does pay out a good chunk, and you do notice it every time it does pay out. But continuing to go down, consumer staples, industrials, just going in that order. Tech is about the fourth one from the bottom in terms of green at 21% return. And materials is my last green sector here at 2.78% return. And now going into the red, we have healthcare at negative 3.79%. Then we have communications, which I totally understand. I do hold Comcast in here, and just some of these more aging giants, minus 10.85%. And then real estate, I guess not too much a surprise if you look at just in real life, you look at Zillow, you look at the housing market, it's stalled. So I'm not too surprised to see, this sector in the red, currently a negative 12.48%. So the worst performing sector, in my portfolio is real estate. And it's not, horrible, but it's noticeably there, minus 12.48%. And then just to show you some of the data here, in terms of the current number of positions that I currently hold, it's still 51. I think it's been 51 since the very, very beginning. If you've been following me for a while, you will remember, I think the 51 has always been there. I don't buy anymore, I don't sell in terms of this portfolio ever since I started and created it. Besides maybe the first week or two weeks. After that, I've just felt really comfortable in its ability and just let it ride. But if you're curious to know my cost basis, I've put in $61,092.94 into this portfolio, and its current value, as we saw with the gain of the market, it's $64,377.10. And then a little bit more into the data. So on this screenshot here, if you were actually to click on the link to my pie, I think it'll look a little something like this. It'd have some of this data here in terms of like the performance over the 5-year, 3-year, 1-year mark. Sometimes it doesn't work too great, as you can see. It doesn't refresh and it doesn't show the accurate number. Then down here below you would have some of my slices or my sector allocations, and you would just click on them to see what I'm holding within them, just for an idea. But this is the data section. So as I did mention, I do hold 51 stocks in this portfolio. And as far as my dividend yield, it's 3.104% at the moment. So for me personally, I like anything between 2.6 and maybe 3.3. So 3.104% is right in that sweet spot. I feel very comfortable with this dividend yield. I don't feel very threatened or anything when there's some turbulence. And also a lot of the companies that I hold, they are blue chip, boring companies. Not too many of them are dividend growth, for example, but I have a good mix in there as well to kind of balance it all out. I consider my portfolio to be pretty well diversified. And as far as my expense ratio, it's very small, 0.01%. I just enjoy managing my own portfolio. Some people like, giving a lot of it, not away, but just, not having to worry about it so much. But if you really put in the time up front, there's really no reason why you can't manage it yourself. We all have our own strategy. So just before we get into showing you how much this dividend portfolio currently pays me in dividends, what is my current short-term and my long-term plan for the portfolio? Well, currently, as I mentioned, I do invest $100 every single week into this portfolio. And as you'll soon see, I also have the dividend drip initiated. I'm going to soon tell you here how much it pays me annually, which I drip right back in. So you'll see exactly or get a rough idea how much I currently invest every single year, what my plan is, but I'll go into detail in a future video here, when I go to recap. But just in general, for my short-term plans, I'm going to continue to funnel $100 every single week. That's not going to change as I continue to just pile up some cash for real estate. I'm currently 27 years old. I'm not necessarily in a rush to buy a home, but I would like to get into real estate, whether it's a house for myself or one that I rent out. And I feel like having a cash reserve is pretty much warranted at this point. I don't have too much cash set on the side. And at the same time, just foreseeing how the markets are playing out, I think within the next 5 years or so, I really feel like there's going to be a good opportunity to buy some real estate. And I just want to be ready, and we'll see how that plays out. But once I get, a pretty comfortable cash reserve, I'm going to bump it up once again to $500 every single week and continue with probably the weekly uploads like I did before, and continue to again push this dividend portfolio and just get some more size back. And I'm looking forward to that, when it happens again. And I guess part of that is my long-term plan. Ultimately, my longest-term plan is to retire by the age of 50 at the latest. That is kind of like my baseline. And I'm pretty much on path to do that with my pension from the state, with this dividend portfolio by the age of 50. And in that future video, I'll kind of break it down more into how I calculated that. But I should have a multi-million-dollar dividend portfolio by the age of 50. I'm currently 27 years old, so I do have time, I have a strategy, and that's just for an idea if you are curious to know. Now, how much does this dividend portfolio currently pay me in dividends? So as you can see here, this is currently on the Div Tracker app. You could just find it in the Apple Store, maybe Android. I'm an Apple user, so I'm not fully sure. I'm not sponsored by this app, but it is the one that I've been using since the dawn of time, and I haven't had any reasons to not use it anymore. You do have to pay a little bit for it. I think I just pay it for the year, but it's worth it. You do have to put everything in manually, which is a downside, but I haven't really found any type of app that's really worth connecting anything to have it all be done automatically. So manual it is, and I'm sure if you're a dividend investor, you know that feeling, but it's not too bad to do it. But as you can see here, it does match $64,377.10 with the market gain of $3,284. On here it doesn't have the earned dividends because I do have to put everything in manually. But as you can see in my composition here, VIG, SPYD, followed by O, which is the REIT at 3.4%, and everything underneath that is under 3.3 or 3.3% and below. And that's just a sign of a very, very well diversified portfolio, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I do want my portfolio to be diversified. Even in market swings, I typically don't feel anything. My portfolio continues to just, move along, and me, not stress about it, which is pretty nice. And as you can see here, the actual dividend income that I receive a year is $1,975.90. So nearly $2,000 for the year, which is my current goal. In a second, I'll show you how much more I need to invest to hit it, but that's my annual. As far as my monthly, if you were to break it down and just be playful, it's $164 every single month. And if you still want to find out how much you make for the day, do I have enough for my coffee? It looks like you do, $5.41. And as far as dividend yield here, there's always a slight discrepancy between M1 Finance and my Div Tracker. On M1 Finance, I think it was saying it was 3.1. Here on the Div Tracker, it says it's 3.23%. So there's always that slight difference, but the way I look at it, it's somewhere likely in between. And if that's the case, I'm totally okay with that. So just moving down here a little bit more, we can see our annual dividend income goal. It's about 99% reached. We're at $1,975.90 out of our $2,000 goal. And it says if I invest $745 at my portfolio's current yield, I would reach this goal. So it's upcoming. It's inevitable. And so I think that's going to be it, friends. This is the January 2023 Dividend Portfolio Review. Do be on the lookout for that next video where I recap 2022 and I explain my goals for 2023 and the current trajectory. I always like doing it because sometimes it's better to just have that vision and know exactly where you're going to. And at the end of the year, review it. What could you have done differently? What could you have done just better? And how did it play out? And for what reasons? So I'm going to go over that in that future video. So do stay tuned. But I do appreciate you guys stopping here. I know a lot of my channel has been kind of also including personal development and personal growth and some of that self-talk video series, along with my story time videos as well. So I do appreciate if you're still here, from the early days of dividend investing. But the way I look at it, friends, we're all going to get that money because we all continually think about it. But what more are you going to have? Who are you going to be when that day arrives? Is it going to be more than just this? Because life, to me, is more than just finances. It really is. There's no point in just chasing the money, and being the same person with the bad and faulty habits that we gain over time. Be the best version of you in every single area. There's no loss. There are no downsides to being a better person across the board. And that's it for the ramble for this video. If you want any more, check out my self-talk series. But friends, as always, I'll see you on the next one next month. Take care.